So before we actually get into today's video, I want to talk to you guys about jerseyfifa.com, because as you can see, they have hooked me up with a load of fresh shirts for this year's World Cup. I've got the England home kit, the England away kit, and also a nice little retro shirt. And you can do exactly the same if you head to jerseyfifa.com using the link in the description down below. They also do the same for club football as well. The latest home shirts, away shirts, but also some really nice retro kits. If you are interested, head to the link in the description down below and use code jerseyfifa for a discount when you order. Now into the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where we are back with the World Cup match coverage. This time Argentina in their 2-0 win over Poland. An absolutely crucial result which secured them top spot in the group after a pretty ropey start against Saudi Arabia. This is actually the first game I spoke about Argentina on the channel, I believe, and for me it was by far their best performance of the tournament. I think the starting 11 looked more balanced, but I also think that just in-game they looked like they had much more of a plan. Like I said, the balance, the structure looked a lot better, so the manager of course deserves some credit for that. However, what I will say is that Poland were bad. Poland were really bad. Now, I'm going to say they didn't play with intensity, and what I mean by that is you can play with intensity without pressing high up the pitch, right? You can play in a mid block or even in a low block and still play with intensity. Poland didn't come with an intensity at any point. But let's just start with how Argentina looked to play their way out from the back, and let's be honest, it was really easy. They would pass to the centre-backs, the strikers were kind of here, not really doing much. Enzo Fernandez, who I thought really grew into this game, would then drop deep, get the ball here, and then De Paul was kind of sort of here to the right-hand side, and he could get a ball. It was nice and easy. The fullbacks weren't really even included in this. It was just that easy for Argentina. Created this 4 versus 2, and what I didn't get from Poland's point of view is why bother putting those two up there if you're not going to go with them. Now, like I said, the front two weren't exactly pressing intensely, but they were just kind of there existing. I don't know what the game plan was, because immediately it made it very, very easy for Argentina to take 2 players out of the game and move forward. From here, like I said, Poland played with no intensity and really sat off in a defensive shape. In a 4-4-2, getting men behind the ball, but the problem for me was just how narrow and compact the 4-4-2 was. Now, yes, it is important to be compact when you defend, but there are also triggers when you defend in a narrow shape. That there are still certain triggers when you go out wide, you go ball side. And Poland just didn't really do that. They seemed really keen on staying in this very, very narrow 4-4-2 shape. Like so, with all outfield players playing within the width of their own penalty area. And doing that and also playing quite deep, of course, allowed Argentina a lot of control. Like, a lot of control. This was one of the most dominant performances we've seen at the World Cup so far, in my opinion. In terms of literally taking control of the game and giving Poland not even one sniff of an opportunity in this game. Argentina done it really well. So in terms of how they actually looked to play going forward, well, they could get several players forward because Poland was so deep. One player that really looked to get forward was Acuna, and what you will see is at the moment, I've got Argentina shaped in a 4-2-3-1. I will come on to that because some people have it as a 4-3-3. Personally, I don't think it is a 4-3-3, but there were situations where it was, but that was from a more defensive point of view. So I will come on to that after we've done the possession stuff. But the fact that they were able to dominate so easily meant that McAllister, who was kind of a left-sided midfielder, kind of a left winger, kind of a left central midfielder sort of area, he was playing in this channel in here. We then saw Acuna getting high and wide around this side. Di Maria doing the same on this side, really wide, so stretching the pitch, holding the width with Di Maria and Acuna. Alvarez was the main man up top here. De Paul would push into this right channel, similar to what McAllister was doing on the other side. And then we've got Molina and Enzo Fernandez kind of sitting deep and controlling things, with Otamendi and Romero here. So it's sort of an off-balance 2-2, and then either a 3-3 or a 5-1. Whatever way you want to look at it, it's kind of the same. And the key was getting Messi in this zone 14 here. This area on the edge of the penalty area, the most dangerous position in football. It's probably the only zone you'll ever actually hear people kind of casually refer to, and that is because it is where majority of goals are created from. Not necessarily scored from, but like where the chance creation comes from is in this zone 14. Messi is probably the best player in the world, probably the best player in history in this position. Letting Messi get in zone 14 is a recipe for disaster for the defending team, and it kind of played out that way. Messi was absolutely brilliant in this game. Now, yes, he did miss his penalty, but it don't really matter. He's that good that he done enough to make up for it. Other than that, I do find it quite interesting though. What are your thoughts on Messi's penalty record? Because both at international and at club level, his penalty record is about 77%, which is bang on average for the average footballer. So I find it really interesting that perhaps the greatest, but certainly in the top 2 players to ever kick a football, when it comes to an isolated situation of kicking a football at a goal, he is bang average when he's so elite at everything else. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that. What do you think it is about Messi's penalties that kind of means his record isn't so good? An interesting point, but kind of a side point that wasn't too important, because Argentina were so good in this game, and what we can see that by playing this shape is they have the width to stretch the Polish defence, but also they have a lot of overloads in the middle of the park here. So, initially they've got 4 players in the middle here with Enzo Fernandez, McAllister, Messi and De Paul, and the importance of Enzo Fernandez was, yes, he didn't actually have his finest game for the first 25 minutes, he actually struggled a bit, but it was his first ever start for Argentina. But still, just his ability to progress the ball meant that Messi was able to play higher. In the previous 2 games in the group, we've seen him dropping quite deep to get the ball. This meant that he was able to take a much higher starting position, and that of course gets him into more dangerous areas. Down this right hand side, Argentina had some really good combinations, and I thought the movement off the ball was good. Of course, we also saw Messi over here as well to create overloads once again, and that was the good thing about this system. You had McAllister and De Paul kind of in these channel areas, you had the width being provided by Acuna and Di Maria. It meant that Messi could float into different areas without leaving the team too unbalanced, so he could create overloads in different areas of the pitch. And the movement down this right hand side was actually really good, really impressive. Some great link up play, like so, and then someone like De Paul would make an underlapping run into this area, and then they'd go for the cut across, or De Paul making this run drags the defence back, which then gives someone like Messi on the edge of the box more time. And we all know that Messi on the edge of the box he's mastered the art of standing still. That's not a criticism, he's just brilliant at kind of watching the play develop down this side of the pitch. Argentina are moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. As a result, Poland are moving backwards, moving backwards, moving backwards. Messi just stops. He just stands still, lets everyone walk past him, and then gets the ball in space from where he can make something happen. But for me, this was my issue, where Poland were just too passive and didn't have the intensity. There were times when the ball would go wide in this area, and they had to either get out and spring out to them, or sit back and be compact. They kind of done an in-between job. Berezinski would kind of come out like this, but the fact that he's doing it slowly, it gives Di Maria time to assess the situation, but also the space to actually then play the pass as well. So Poland just really struggled with that, and like I said, it allowed Messi to get a ridiculous amount of touches on the ball, which that should be the plan for any team playing against Argentina. Don't let Messi get a ridiculous amount of touches on the ball. He absolutely ran this game, and then with Poland having a similar problem on the other side, with McAllister drawing players in here, drawing cash in, it then meant that Messi, but also Di Maria, all night long were just flicking passes out to this side of the pitch, lofting them over the defence for Acuna to run onto, sometimes out into his feet, and then Acuna from there could cross balls into the box, and throughout the first half, Argentina looked really threatening. They just didn't kind of quite create that big chance that they needed. But I think the only problem I would say that Argentina had on the ball in this first half was that at times, down the right-hand side, they were really good with their runs off the ball, right? Sometimes it would be Molina come forward and De Paul would sit a bit deeper. Sometimes, as we've already mentioned, De Paul would make the run in behind, or Messi would make the run in behind. I think they lacked that a little bit down the left-hand side. McAllister's a really good player, but when Alvarez was just floating a little bit shorter, Argentina lacked that runner off the ball. However, we saw that change literally within, what was it, 2 minutes? A minute and a half? A minute of the second half. We saw that changing because we saw Argentina progressing the ball down this side. Again, far too easily. Poland far too passive. Didn't put any pressure on the ball at all. And then this time, McAllister was making the run into the box past Alvarez, past Messi, who had dropped deeper. And that gave Argentina the lead. And from there, it always looked like they were going to go on to win this match. However, the manager didn't literally stick with the same tactic. I'll come on to that in a second, though, actually, because I do just want to talk about something else quick. And that is the fact that another reason that Argentina was so good for that first 60 minutes before they changed shape was because of their rest defence. Now, rest defence is essentially the positions you take up when your team are in possession to make sure that you are ready when you lose possession. This is the difference between top teams and teams that aren't there. If we talk at like club level, for example, we look at Manchester City, their rest defence is very good. Their shape is that good that they are ready to lose the ball. Yes, they are probing, attacking, trying to create chances, but they are ready to lose the ball. Compare that on the flip side to Manchester United, a team who aren't very good at rest defence, so when they lose the ball they often get counter-attacked. Having Enzo Fernandez, his work rate in the middle of the park, Molina playing this slightly deeper position, and then De Paul's workmanlike nature here, it meant that Argentina's rest defence was really good, so if they did lose the ball, they were quickly able to get men back around the ball as quick as possible, win the ball back, and then again take control. And it's why they had so much possession, and again, it allowed them to keep working the ball from side to side, and wait for their opportunity to go forward. Like we said, they eventually got their goal with McAllister making the run into the box, and then after that they changed shape. So at this moment in the game, Poland are aware that they do need to play with at least a tiny bit of attacking intent. They never really opened up, but they did just a little bit. And Argentina reacted to this by bringing Di Maria off the pitch and also Acuna. Tagliafico came on at left back for Acuna, a like-for-like replacement, but Paredes came on for Di Maria, which meant that Argentina changed to a 4-4-2. However, the way that they used the 4-4-2 was really good at exposing everything that was wrong with Poland. Now, typically, going 4-4-2 when Poland are 4-4-2 shouldn't give you a sudden superior advantage because you should be man for man. However, because of the way that Poland were defending in such a narrow way, what Argentina looked to do was bring their midfielders, or their wide midfielders, McAllister and De Paul, actually quite narrow. And again, McAllister in particular was given a real free roam, so they're both coming inside, dragging these Polish players infield, and then this then left a lot of room. Tagliafico to push forward, just as Acuna was, but also Molina was now given much more attacking freedom than what he had been in the first half. In the first half, he was kind of the one sitting back a little bit, kind of being a little bit reserved. In the second half, after they changed to this 4-4-2, he pushed much higher. So now, with Poland still defending really narrow, this was constantly a free pass. And when you've got Enzo Fernandez and Paredes in midfield, two absolutely brilliant passers of a football, it allows you to just constantly open the pitch up. If you have nothing else on in the middle, just open it up. Fortunately for Argentina, they had more than that though, because they also had plenty of options in the middle. Because Alvarez was often occupying the two centre-backs, which meant that Messi was able to drop in. And now you have Fernandez, Paredes, De Paul, Messi, and McAllister up against sometimes a two-man midfield, if the wingers were too wide, but even when they came inside, it was still a 5 versus 4, and tactically, this change was really good. This was really good in-game management. It gave them that extra midfielder in the middle of the pitch with Paredes, so more control on the ball. Paredes, really underrated in my opinion. He's really good at keeping things ticking over for his side, and he had a really good impact when he came onto the pitch. It also freed up Enzo Fernandez to push a little bit higher. Before, he was responsible for dropping deep and progressing the ball. Now he was able to play a little bit higher, and I thought he showed some real elements of craft in that second half. Particularly that spell from like the 50th minute to the 70th minute, I thought he really showed his craft, stepping into a more advanced area, and that's obviously what we saw for the second goal. Bit of craft from Enzo Fernandez, finds Julian Alvarez, who just puts the ball into the back of the net quite emphatically, really. And Argentina were completely deserving of this 2-0 victory. I thought they were absolutely brilliant from start to finish. In that first half, they had kind of that 2-2-5-1 shape, which really pinned Poland back, allowed Argentina to take control. And then in the second half, once they had scored, this changed to a 4-4-2, which again I think was good in-game management, allowed them to crowd the centre of the pitch with the likes of Messi, Paredes, Enzo Fernandez, De Paul, McAllister, but also they had the width with the fullbacks, and it genuinely just gave Poland absolutely no chance. Absolutely no chance at all. But there was just one more thing I want to touch on, because there was something a tiny bit concerning from Argentina's point of view. So the only other thing I quickly want to touch on was something that we were noticing in the first half when Argentina were in their initial formation before the goal. And you will see that I've now got them in a 4-3-3, and that's because this is what they look to do from a defensive point of view. They weren't too keen on pressing really high up the pitch. They moved to a 4-3-3, put Messi in the middle, and Julian Alvarez now moved to the left wing. McAllister dropped a bit deeper into midfield. Di Maria on the right wing. Now, typically that's an okay shape, that's perfectly fine to defend with, but we know that Messi is a player that doesn't play with too much intensity in here. And his role was sort of to follow the holding midfielder, but there are certainly occasions when he doesn't. And also, Argentina's game plan seemed to be use the wingers to take up, mark the fullbacks, make them not an option, forcing Poland inside the pitch. Forcing Poland inside where they felt that McAllister, Enzo Fernandez and De Paul would win their battles. Now, in this particular game they did. However, I just wonder moving forward if this is going to work when you are letting centre-backs step forward and play from there. If you think playing better opposition later on in the competition, if you think someone like Rodri or Laporte or even John Stones, Harry Maguire, players like that being given the freedom to step into the pitch with this much time might be a concern. It didn't matter in this game. because Poland didn't show the attacking intent or any expression or any freedom on the ball. But it's just something to maybe look out for. Argentina, from a defensive point of view, pushing the opposition central, but not really putting pressure on the centre-backs, who had time on the ball to pick a pass. So, just something to look at for the future. But in terms of this game, they were absolutely brilliant. Messi was absolutely brilliant. The tactics were spot on. The team deserved to win. Argentina eventually deserved to top the group. And like I said before the tournament, I think they look in a really good spot to go all the way. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. They will now play Australia, which they'll really fancy themselves in. But yeah, that's all I've got to say for today's video. Argentina were brilliant, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.